two, 1, 2. Hola, mi gente. Buenos días. Gracias. Our Universalist heritage proposed that each person is made of divine goodness, and science offers that we just might be stardust. Whatever your beliefs, know that you are a gift and you are inherently worthy of love. I'm so glad that you're here today. Love is the spirit of all souls, and in this moment of our shared journey, may you feel witnessed and honored wherever you are on that journey. I invite you now to please rise in body or spirit to greet your neighbors, new and returning folks, especially with our name and our pronouns. Thank you. I'm just going to run down so I can give Bibi a sign.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to all who are with us in the moment and those catching us later on. I am Sonja Isenhart. My pronouns are she, her. I will be serving as the worship associates for today's service, together with Nancy Olson, Director of Congregation Faith Formation, with Reverend Katie, our Senior Minister, whose pronouns are she, Asia, and Gabe Perubielli, Music Director, pronouns he, him, and Bibi on the piano. We are your worship team on the chancel today. People of all ages are joyfully welcome in service. Nursery care is available if that's an option that works best for you. I invite everyone to please complete a connection card. This is a great way to let us know if you would like support, need assistance, have contact information change, or have an interest, comment, or question. Please place it in the offering basket.
Thank you, Sonja. And folks online in the moment and catching up with us can also fill out the digital connection card that we have so we can keep up with everyone far away too. And hey, holy cow, there's a lot of people here this morning and there was a time change. So I feel like we deserve some credit for that. So epic wins already today. There is hot coffee and hot water in the kitchen. A new part was ordered for the boiler this week. It is cold in the sanctuary. Please get hot beverages, keep your coats on. Hopefully it'll be fixed this week, so it'll be toasty again next week. But do what you need to do to keep your bodies warm today, and it really is okay to have warm beverages in the sanctuary to keep yourselves warm and healthy. In the social hall after service, Julia, our board president, will be at a table helping people to make their pledges. You can make your pledge online, or if you would prefer a form, we do have forms and envelopes today that will go in the safe after service. We want to acknowledge it was National Women's Day yesterday. We'll have a little bit more on that later. So hooray, National Women's Day. And I just want to let you know, if it smells like something's burning, I smudged the building this morning. So Helen Dwyer, there you are. Helen created an incredible smudge stick at a regional women's retreat and gifted it to me, which meant she gifted it to the congregation. So I used it this morning just to kind of smudge the building. So thank you, Helen, for your contribution to Olympia of the building. You will not see me until March 30th, Sunday, March 30th. I'll be here during the week and stuff, but my next Sunday is March 30th because I have a pulpit exchange. You all had Pastor Tammy last month here, and now I'm going to our Oak Landon congregation next week, and then Gabe and I are headed to Finding Our Way Home in Asheville, North Carolina, which is a once-a-year conference for Unitarian Universalist religious professionals of color. So I'm actually leading worship. Gabe made me do it for one of the days. So you will see me on the 30th. As we continue our time together, let us acknowledge the land itself and those who've sustained it throughout the generations. We are upon the unceded land of the Lenape, Miamia, Kaskaskia, Shawnee, and Kickapoo people, who were pushed from these lands and whose children have been stolen for generations. As we strive to be a community of justice, may we continue to find ways to make real reparations. Let us center ourselves with these words by the Reverend Julian Soto. This year, I will rest more. I know this is not a revelation. I still need to do it. I will learn how to mend my sweaters, my house textiles, my personal heart. I will learn how to speak, how to conjugate the future. I will, you will, we will, eventually. We will have done. I will learn how to dance. We are the rhythm. We are the drum. There is the essential knowledge that even when you can't cut a rug, it is 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. This year, I will scream what needs screaming. I'm not saving my voice for later. The house is on fire. Put it out, put it out. I will learn how to hold my breath for when the water is over my head, black, blue, and rushing, the moment to relax my spine, gentle my legs, hold my breath, and float. Rise, rise.
Jane Murphy and her granddaughter Nora will light our chalice today. Thank you. And they wore their warm sweaters today. The ritual of lighting our chalice, it reminds us to continually renew our promise to live into our covenant, to put love into action, and to live out this community of love and justice that we surely aim to be. So if you would please rise in body or spirit as we share the words that are printed in your order of celebration. They're in both Spanish and English. If you're with us online, we'd like to know in the chat where you are lighting your chalice from. And we will read the covenant in Spanish first. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ley, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en el amor, y darnos unos a otros. Este es nuestro pacto. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. Thank you. And if you would stay standing for our wonderful hymn, I love that hymn. Pardon? We are going to sing Come Sing a Song with Me. Number 346.
Do y'all want to come up?
This is Wanda's Roses by Pat Brisson. One morning in May, on the way to school, Wanda noticed a bush growing in an empty corner lot at Fillmore and Hudson Streets. It must have had been growing for a while because it was about 2 feet tall, and Wanda was surprised that she hadn't noticed it before. But there it was, bare and thorny, and Wanda, who loved beautiful things, thought her heart beat faster.
A rose bush, my very own rose bush.
Now, the rose bush didn't really belong to Wanda, but since no one seemed to own the lot or the heaps of junk that were piled there, she decided she would care for this bush and make it her own.
All during school, she thought about her rosebush. During art, she drew pictures of what it would look like to bloom.
During library, she borrowed books on arranging flowers.
During science, she asked so many questions about how to take care of it that finally, her teacher said she really must stop asking questions about roses and start thinking about electricity, which was what today's lesson was about.
After school, she rushed to the rosebush. It was still bare and thorny. Maybe it needs some sun, thought Wanda, so she put down her school bag and began dragging some of the nearby trash out to the curb. Mrs. Turner, who was on her way to the store, stopped to help her with a broken chair.
Cleaning up the neighborhood, Wanda? That's a nice project for you.
Oh, I'm not just cleaning. I'm helping my rose bush get more sun so it will bloom.
Your rose bush? Where's your rose bush?
Over there.
Wanda said, pointing proudly to the bare thorny bush.
Oh, Wanda, I'm not so sure that's a rose bush.
Sure it is. I've seen rose bushes in books, and this is what they look like before they bloom. You just wait. In a few weeks, this whole lot will be full of roses.
Well, good luck with that, Wanda.
As she walked away, Mrs. Turner thought to herself, if that's a rosebush, then I'm the Queen of England.
The next day after school, Wanda hurried to her rose bush. It was still bare and thorny. Maybe it needs some more air, Wanda thought. So she put down her school bag and began taking more trash out of the curb. Once I get all this trash out of here, nothing will be blocking the air from getting to my rose bush, Wanda thought.
Mr. Claudel was on his way home from work, saw Wanda trying to drag an old door, and stopped to help.
Cleaning up the neighborhood, are you, Wanda?
Not just cleaning. I'm getting rid of this trash so my rose bush will get more air.
A rose bush? Here? I don't know much about gardening, Wanda. I don't think that's a rose bush.
Sure it is. In a few weeks, this will be filled with the sweetest smelling roses you ever saw.
She thanked him for his help and went off to drag away some more trash. Mr. Claudel shook his head.
If that's a rose bush, then I'm the King of France.
Every day after school that week and the next, Wanda worked in the empty lot. Mrs. Giamoni, who lived in the apartment next door, gave Wanda trash bags for old shoes, bottles, broken toys, and bits of glass she was picking up.
You've done a great job cleaning up this lot, Wanda, Mrs. Giamoni told her.
I'm not just cleaning. I have to get rid of all this trash so my rose bush will get enough sun and fresh air to bloom.
But where is this rosebush? Mrs. Giamoni asked. So Wanda showed her.
Mrs. Giamoni put her hand on Wanda's shoulder and spoke softly to her. Wanda, she said, this is not a rosebush.
Oh, but it is. And in a few weeks, this lot will be filled with the most beautiful roses you ever saw.
That would be nice, but I don't want you to be disappointed if this bush doesn't bloom.
I won't be disappointed.
Sigh, this is not a rosebush and never will be one, thought Mrs. Giamoni.
The next week, when the rose bush still wasn't blooming, Wanda talked to her school librarian, Mrs. Jones.
I need some books about getting roses to bloom.
Oh, do you have a rose bush, Wanda?
Yes, but it doesn't have flowers yet, and I know it has enough sun and fresh air.
Does it have enough water?
Water, of course. That will make it bloom.
That afternoon, she hurried to the rose bush. It was still bare and thorny. She looked at the dry ground and smiled.
Don't worry, little bush. I'll get you some water, and then you'll be able to grow flowers.
Wanda went to the butcher's shop across the street.
Mr. Sanchez, would you please give me some water for my rose bush?
Rosebush, is that what I see you taking care of and talking to every day out there? Are you sure that's a rosebush, Wanda?
Oh, yes, I'm sure. It can't bloom because it needs water.
So Mr. Sanchez gave her water in a plastic bucket.
I hope that really is a rosebush, Wanda.
You'll see, in a few weeks, that whole lot will be filled with roses.
As Wanda carried the water to her rose bush, Mr. Sanchez muttered,
In a few weeks, that thorn bush will still be a thorn bush.
Every day, Wanda ran to her rose bush after school, but every day it was still bare and thorny. She watered it and sang to it and checked its bare branches for roses.
Mr. Claudel, on his way home from work, stopped to see if there were any roses yet.
Mrs. Turner, on her way to the butcher shop, stopped to see if there were any roses yet.
Mrs. Giamoni, seeing Wanda in the lot, called down from her apartment to ask if there were any roses yet.
When Wanda went to the library at school, Miss Jones asked if there were any roses yet.
And every day when Wanda went to the butcher shop for water, Mr. Sanchez asked if there were any roses yet. To each person, Wanda would answer the same thing.
Just wait. Pretty soon, this whole lot will be filled with roses.
And then, one day in June, Wanda had an idea. Looking at the bare thorny bush, she said,
If my rose bush won't give roses to me, I'll just have to give roses to my rose bush.
and when she saw Mrs. Turner, Mr. Claudel, Mrs. Giamoni, and Miss Jones and Mr. Sanchez, she gave them each an invitation that said,
Please come for tea and muffins in Wanda's Rose Garden, Saturday morning at 9.
Oh dear, said Mrs. Turner. Is she still expecting to get roses on that bush? Oh no, said Mr. Claudel. And she's worked so hard too.
Oh my, said Mrs. Giamoni. She'll be so disappointed.
Oh darn, said Mr. Sanchez. There must be something I can do.
Oh, good, said Mrs. Jones, who had only heard about the bush from Wanda and hadn't seen it for herself. And I'll bring the muffins.
The night before the tea party, everyone was very busy. And next morning at 9, everyone was surprised to see Wanda's rose bush covered with roses, paper roses that Wanda had made herself and carefully tied to each thorny branch.
But more surprising yet, everyone who came to the party had brought along a rose bush to plant near Wanda's.
Except Miss Jones, who had brought delicious blueberry muffins.
After they had eaten their muffins and drunk their tea, they all got busy planting rosebush. Mr. Caudale and Miss Turner dug the holes.
Mrs. Giamoni held the bushes in place while Wanda and Miss Jones filled in around the roots with soil.
And Mr. Sanchez brought water from his shop and watered them all thoroughly. When the work was finished, Mr. Claudel said,
Wanda, this is going to be a rose garden fit for a king or a queen, said Mrs. Turner.
Wanda and the others smiled.
And later that summer, the whole lot was filled with the biggest, most beautiful, sweetest smelling roses that anyone had ever seen, just as Wanda always said it would be.
The end. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. As our children move into their classes, I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together hymn number 118, This Little Light of Mine. You can also, if you want to not read your hymnals, that's okay too. You'll catch on.
I'm
and Judy Murphy for these gorgeous flowers today. They're stunning. Let us breathe into this moment to note that which is currently bringing joy or sorrow to the community. I'm actually going to hold a moment of silence, and I invite those of you online to type into the chat what you're bringing into this space today, or if you're catching up with us later, go ahead and type that into. And for those of us here in person, please do speak into the silence if there's anything that's on your hearts today. Let's not hold that in today. Let's get it out into the space where we can hold it. I also call into this space that it has been 5 years since the COVID shutdown. Fires are burning on Long Island, near my hometown. I invite those who are grieving, who are raging, who are joyful, and who would like their feelings witnessed to rise in body or spirit as we hold the silence together. Let us remember that we are never alone. We are connected to each other and a greater community. We are in this moment in time doing the work of nurturing a thorn bush in a lot that no one has claimed. We are clearing and watering and making paper flowers and doing the hard work of bringing community to care. Beloved visionaries, remember that you are not alone. And let us be held by a larger hope. Perhaps we may only feel a spark of that hope, or perhaps we must borrow that hope from another. If we must borrow it, borrow it. If you feel the spark, fan it. And let us grow that hope until we are amidst a rose garden. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
Silent the summer breeze. journey on. There are bright stars in the heavens that you cannot see in the sun. There are symphonies that surround you when the hush of evening comes. Will you see them? Will you hear them? Be still, look up and listen. How will you know what wondrous beauty the night beholds until you look up and listen? There are bright stars in the heavens that you cannot see in the sun. There are symphonies that surround you when the hush of evening comes. Will you see them? Will you hear them? Be still, look up and listen. Be still and listen. Listen.
That was beautiful, choir. Proof that beauty lives. Thank you. I have some news. After a year of working with the Indiana Task Force, we have been approved for a sexual health vending machine, which will have 4 free sexual health kits. It will be a place for Plan B. We will be on the map of the Indiana Task Force's vending machines so that people will be able to come to our site and access birth control. So, vending machine coming soon. Everything is volunteer-led. The vending machine company, the task force, so things take a little bit of time, but we are on the road. Yesterday, of course, was International Women's Day, and where I found the most rousing speech was from La Presidenta Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. You can get subtitles in English if you need it. I encourage you to listen to her speech. And the irony of Apple taking it off of our calendars in the US and Mexico offering the most rousing speech was not lost on me. So, beloveds, also yesterday, my colleague from Cedar Lane, the Reverend Abi Janamanchi, it was where I served in Bethesda before I came here to you. Abi wrote something I want to share with you for International Women's Day. Now, Abi is from South India. He is 3rd generation Unitarian. His father, his grandfather, they were all a part of the Brahma Samaj movement, which is closely linked to Unitarianism. His grandfather was friends with Gandhi. And Gandhi, of course, also influenced U.S. Unitarians, the likes of Ralph Waldo Emerson, etc. Nabi says, today on International Women's Day, we do more than celebrate. We reclaim. We honor the strength, wisdom, and resilience of women across the world, and we recognize the fight for gender justice is not only a social movement, but a spiritual one. In the Hindu tradition, Shakti is the primordial force from which all things arise. She is not an afterthought, not an addition. She is the very essence of creation. She is a power itself. The divine feminine is the energy that births, nurtures, and sustains life. To honor Shakti is to recognize that women are not just caregivers, but creators, warriors, change makers. If Shakti is the power that creates, Kali is the force that destroys injustice. Too often misunderstood, Kali is not merely a goddess of destruction. She is the fierce mother who cuts through illusion, slays oppression, and makes way for truth. Kali's rage is not wild and reckless. It is holy, a fire that burns away all that seeks to suppress, silence, or subjugate. To invoke Shakti is to create. To call upon Kali is to liberate. To embrace both is to restore balance, not just for women, but for the world. Feminism, when connected to the power of these goddesses, is more than advocacy. It is an awakening. It is the realization that gender justice is not simply about equality. It is about transformation. It is about breaking the cycles of violence, unmasking deception, and co-creating a world where dignity and freedom are not privileges, but birthrights. Today, let us remember we carry Shakti, the power to nurture, to create, to sustain. This is for all genders. We invoke Kali, the courage to disrupt, to dismantle, to fight fearlessly for liberation. We restore balance because when women rise, the world is not thrown into disorder, it is brought back to harmony. On this International Women's Day, let us commit to more than celebration. Let us commit to action. Thank you, Betty, for being at the State House yesterday. To lifting each other up, to making space for every voice, to refusing silence in the face of oppression. Liberation is not given, it is taken. And when we rise together. Lifting each other up is an offer of a kind of grace. So let us lift each other up and offer a kind of grace. Hallelujah. I give to you these words of Anne Lamott, who has a more humorous take on grace. She says, can you put away your tight pants, the ones with the punishing waistband? You know those. Wear forgiving pants. The world is too hard as it is without letting your pants have an opinion on how you're doing. I hate to say it, but only profound self-love work, union with that sacred breath, holding self, and not a diet that forbids apples or avocados, or God forbid, tacos. Horribly, but as usual, only kindness and grace, which is spiritual WD40, can save us. Earlier, I asked if you could feel a spark of hope. There's this thing that happens when our hope goes down, so does our kindness to ourselves. And the more our kindness to ourselves goes down, the more our hope goes down, and the deeper we go. And the more likely we are to lash out at others, and the less likely we are to be curious when someone says something that is a very difficult pill to swallow. When we get curious, we have the opportunity to actually engage in a transformative conversation with others. But if we don't have enough kindness for ourselves, we can't have kindness for someone else who might need kindness in order to engage in a transformative conversation. Wanda engaged with everyone she encountered with kindness, even if they didn't have her vision. She was able to hold her vision. Never once did Wanda look at that thorn bush and curse herself. Right? So when we're staring at a vacant lot, don't be mad at yourselves. Don't curse yourself. We have a responsibility to clean things up. But hating ourselves is the opposite of what we want to do. We want to catch the vision, catch some hope, maybe borrow a vision from somebody else until we can hold one of our own and grow that hope. Because like Wanda, her hope was infectious. She was able to bring even Mrs. Giamoni along on the ride. Every single person she met was invested in her, and then they became invested in the community. Let your lights shine. Invest in your light with self-care. I have preached about how much I detest diet culture. And for many of us, the first place we go is our bodies. Be gentle with your bodies. Praise yourself. Care for yourself. And put on your comfy pants. Because y'all, we need to dig some holes and put some rose bushes in, and nobody's doing that in heels. And nobody's doing that in tight pants. Not comfortably. And Lamott also says, I'm not sure what my role in the resistance will be, as my feet and right hip frequently hurt. Also, it was announced in the news beginning several hours after the November presidential election that the resistance is muted and/or that there is no resistance. Democrats and the opposition leaders, of whom there are apparently none anyway, don't know what to do. But how could anyone? When my mother fell into a steep decline with Alzheimer's and diabetes in 2000, my two brothers and I met with a gerontology nurse. She listened to our grief, confusion, and absolute exhaustion. How do we know when it's time to move Mom to assisted living? How could we keep her from binging on the rolls and cookies she was shoplifting from Safeway, which the Checkers paid for because they loved her? How could we get her to take her insulin when she was so confused? And the nurse replied gently, how could you know? This had not occurred to us. We thought we must be stupid not to know. She said, you guys all need a good, long rest. I think we need and are taking a good, long rest, along with half of America. I've been feeling doomed, exhausted, and quiet. A few of us, approximately 75 million people, see the future as a desert of harshness. The new land looks inhospitable, but if we stay alert, we'll notice that the stark desert is dotted with growing things. In the pitiless heat and scarcity, we also see shrubs and conviction. Lacking obvious flash and vigor might seem as if there's no resistance, but It is everywhere you look. Look around. I see good, green, growing things. Our Universalist heritage teaches that there is a part of us filled with the breath of life. The purest of good come from creation itself. My colleague, Abi Janamanchi, reminded us also that we are creators, sustainers, nurturers, and we have within us the power to burn away all that is not true and make justice. I will not pre-comply with the vision of an apocalypse and a desert. Can we instead be more like Wanda? And maybe if our hips are hurting and our feet are sore, perhaps we will bake the muffins and not bend to dig. And that is okay. There is a job for all of us in this work, and the invitation is to say yes. Show up at 9 o'clock on Saturday, or really 10 o'clock every Sunday. And anywhere else, there is an invitation to justice, to plant that rose garden that is still possible. Nothing deterred Wanda. And I invite you to consider, when times are challenging, what would Wanda do? I offer you these words by Mary Oliver, an unofficial poet laureate of Unitarian Universalism. If you're feeling low, this is a good short poem to read. She says in her poem, Praying, it doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot or a few small stones. Just pay attention. Then patch a few words together and don't try to make them elaborate. This isn't a contest, but a doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak. May you hear the voice of your still, small voice within speak louder and louder each and every day. May it unleash the inner Shakti and the inner Kali as we build the world we are dreaming about, and as Gandhi called us to be, we become the change we are dreaming about. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
Hello. Hey, yes, good. Today we're gonna learn a new song. I believe you have the lyrics in the order of celebration. We start singing Somos el barco, somos el mar. Actually, let me check the lyrics. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. And then we sing the translation in English. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. So let's learn the melody of this refrain. Can you play for us, Bibi, the melody? We are the barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. Great. sing again this refrain, and please stand up in body or spirit to sing with us. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. Okay, great. Now we're gonna have the third chance, and you can do even better. So let's sing again this refrain, and then we'll keep going to the verses. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. The stream sings it to the river sings it to the sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. The boat we are sailing in was built by many hands, and the sea we are sailing on, it touches many sands. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. The voyage has been long and hard, and yet we are sailing still, with a song to help us pull together, if we only will. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. So with our hopes we raise the sails to face the winds once more, and with our hearts we chart the waters never sailed before. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. Thank you.
This week, we are sharing the offering plate with Planned Parenthood Indianapolis. Planned Parenthood, aligns with our UU values by prioritizing individual autonomy, reproductive justice, access to health care for all, social justice, and inclusivity. Planned Parenthood made it possible for me to be here today, to have the life I lived, and to have seen my children grow up. I am forever grateful. To contribute, you can give cash or check into the collection plate, or if online, you can go to allsouls.org, where you will fill a link that says, Give to All Souls here on the left side. It's beneath the description for today's service. Please indicate if your gift is a pledge, payment, or if it's to share the plate. Thank you for your generosity in supporting the mission of All Souls and for your continued love for one another and for this world. The morning offering may now be given and gratefully received.
Thank you, Sandy, for leading some impromptu movement. That was beautiful. The most important thing, according to Julia Fehrenbacher, I'm making a home inside myself, a shelter of kindness where everything is forgiven, everything allowed, a quit patch of sunlight to stretch without hurry, where all the things that have been are banished and buried, welcomed, spoken, listened to, released. a fiercely friendly place I can claim as my own. I'm throwing arms open to the whole of myself, especially the fearful, finding falling apart, unfinished parts, knowing every seed and weed, every drop of rain has made the oil richer. I will light a candle, pour a hot cup of tea, gather around the warmth of my own blazing fire. I will howl if I want to, knowing this flame can burn through any perceived problem and prescribed perfectionism and lying limitation, every heavy thing. I'm making a home inside of myself where grace blooms in grand and glorious abundance, a shelter of kindness that grows all the truest things. I whisper, hallelujah to the friendly sky. Watch now as I burst into blossom. Burst into blossom this week. May it be so. Amen and blessed be.